Hey everyone, welcome back to Self-Care Haven. Today I'm going to be starting a video series based on your questions about narcissism, and it's called 50 Shades of Narcissism. Thank you for submitting all your questions. I really appreciate them, and I will do my best to tackle each and every one of them. The first question that I'm going to be tackling is about narcissistic supply. So a reader of mine actually emailed, and she wrote, once the narcissist has moved on to new supply, does he or she ever think about old supply? I was in a relationship, an extramarital affair actually, for 26 years, on and off. But after the final 5 years, when we got very, very close, he abruptly broke it off when, unbeknownst to me, he'd hooked up with another woman. How can a relationship of such longevity and intimacy just be wiped from the narcissist's memory banks? I'm having a difficult time with this. Remember that if the narcissist ever thinks about old supply, it's mainly in the framework of how can I use the supply in the future. So unfortunately, narcissists don't love the way that regular empathic human beings do. They don't have the same sort of compassion, the same sort of capacity to emotionally connect with other human beings. So when we consider that, we have to remember that to them, people are sources of attention, of praise, of whatever kind of need they want to fulfill in their daily lives in order to survive. They have a lot of emotional numbness, so they are perpetually bored. They want supply to feel excited about life. They want supply in order to feel some sort of emotion, because otherwise they're they kind of feel empty all the time. And it's kind of a sad existence, but you have to remember that they choose to exploit and manipulate people in order to gain that supply. So let's not be too empathic towards them. Let's save our empathy for people who are able to give it back to us. Remember, they're not committed to anyone else but themselves. They don't feel empathy the way we do. We're wired very differently from them. So while we might think of a previous relationship and more in that relationship, we might go through a whole grieving process over a breakup. Narcissists are really thinking about, well, where do I get my next hit? Where do I get my next fix? And they're doing that even when they're seemingly committed to a relationship or not. So even if they were in a relationship with you, and in this case it was an extramarital affair, so you already know that they had another source of primary supply in the form of a spouse, and they were still sniffing out new supply in the form of you. And so when they seemingly still kind of committed to you by having this affair, they were still sniffing out old sources of supply, new sources of supply. They're always trying to get attention from wherever they possibly can. Each new person is a potential source of supply for them. So when they think about old supply, if they ever do think about old supply, it's really in the framework of, well, you know what, I kind of am losing control over this person who basically I discarded, or they discarded me first, and so I need control back. And they feel like if they have that control, and if they can check in with the old supply and make sure that they're not completely out of their lives, then they'll have a steady source of supply whenever they might need it, whenever they might either get bored, or they might be lacking in supply, and so they'll use you as a fallback person because they know that you're committed to them, you're devoted to them, and you won't resist their hoovering tactics. So remember that if they are attempting to reach out to you, it's really a hoovering tactic, and it should not be taken seriously. It should really be seen for what it is, which is that this manipulative person who is wired very differently from me, who doesn't have the same amount of empathy or compassion, who doesn't grieve the relationship we had the same way that I do, is reaching out because he or she needs something for him or herself. It's very exploitive, it's very manipulative, and yes, it's very selfish. And don't take this to mean that you're not worthy of the grieving process, or you're not worthy of being thought about in a loving way. You are absolutely worthy of that. But remember that narcissists are unfortunately wired very differently from us, so they're not going to be thinking about past relationships the way that we think about them. So I hope that this helps in propelling you to move forward from the narcissist and maintaining no contact, and remembering that it's not about the longevity of the relationship, it's not about the commitment of the relationship, because narcissists really truly cannot commit to anyone but themselves. They're always looking for supply, and whether it's discarded source of supply that they re-idealize, or whether it's new supply that they're going to use in the future, they will never be fully committed to even their spouse or their extramarital affair or anybody in their harem. The only person that they are truly committed to is the false self that they present to the world, and they'll do anything to protect that false self, which is why they need supply, in order to remind them that they are not the emotionally numb real self that's within them. It's really to convince themselves that they are this fake charismatic person that they present to the world. So I hope this helps a little bit, and if you do have more questions about narcissism and narcissistic supply, please do comment on the video below, and I will also be making a subsequent blog post with all of my questions and answers once this video series is continuing. So I hope to talk to you all soon, and hope to hear your comments. Until then, take care.